New this morning, a local school district is working to make sure all of its students are able to learn in this new age of social distancing. That includes its students in rural areas who may be disconnected from the internet. We've covered stories before about the astronomical cost of broadband in rural neighborhoods. So when Gloucester County schools transitioned to virtual learning because of the pandemic, many of its students were left without a way to connect to the classroom. But there's now a solution thanks to some quick-thinking school leaders.
Sometimes my internet wants to be kind of wonky.
In Gloucester County, lots of residents can relate to Carla Corson's wonky internet. Some can't connect at all.
There are so many families here in Gloucester to where Verizon and Cox will not hook them up.
Sometimes running into the thousands, hookup costs alone can price families out. That's according to Gloucester County Schools Transportation Director Tanya Deckard.
A lot of our families don't have any access to the internet, or if they do, if they have the availability, sometimes it's just out of their price range.
That was a big problem for students who had to learn from home once the pandemic shutdown started in March.
One of the biggest issues we noticed right away was students, especially in our more rural communities like this one where they don't get a lot of internet access, kids weren't turning in their work.
Deckard had her drivers dropping off and picking up paper packets in those areas. But that still didn't solve the connection problem. And that's where Wi-Fi on wheels comes in.
Why are you parked in front of my house? You know?
Eric Whittegren began driving this ordinary-looking bus about 2 weeks ago. Since then, he's gotten some stares and some questions from people in the neighborhoods where he parks for hours at a time. But then they look at their cell signal.
We've got about a 400 or 500% performance gain.
That's Technology Director Scott Mecca, who turned this bus into a powerful roving router.
Think of this as a MiFi on steroids, is really what it is.
External antennas help boost the signal for people who otherwise struggle to get a signal. But to find those, Mecca had to hit the road.
Prior to building what we built here, I just drove around with the system kind of hanging out in my truck on Labor Day weekend, and I just drove around the area where we thought these might be.
One Wi-Fi on Wheels bus is now traveling between those areas with more in the works. As the program expands, Deckard says it's just a technological twist on what her mission has always been.
Transportation's job has always been to give students equal access to education. Instead of taking them to the building, we're taking the building to them.
Mecca told me each Wi-Fi on Wheels bus takes about $5,000 to outfit. He and district administrators plan to look at the data they're collecting on who's accessing the service and how they're using it. They'll use that to decide how many more to build. Don?